Everyone knows and most websites use them. And while using more and more websites over time, you get overwhelmed by them. We talk about passwords. For your online accounts, passwords are the weakest point in any level in security. According to a recent study, more than 80% of security breaches caused by hackers are due to weak or stolen passwords. That person can make any changes to your online accounts, make purchases, or otherwise manipulate your data. So if you want to protect your personal data and assets, a strong password is an important first step. This video will therefore share 8 rules for secure and good to remember passwords. Number 1 rule on the way to a strong password: stay away from the obvious. Never use sequential numbers or letters, and for the love, do not use password as your password. Come up with unique passwords that do not include any personal info such as your name or date of birth. If you're being specifically targeted for a password hack, the hacker will put everything they know about you in their guess attempts. Stay away passwords, for example, are 1 2 3 4 5 6 and so on. QWERTY and further sequential numbers on your keyboard. Sequences of equal characters. The word password itself. Mixed sequences of numbers and letters, and common phrases as I love you. Coming to the second rule for secure passwords: think length, not complexity. A longer password is usually better than a more random password, as long as the password is at least 12 to 15 characters long. Length is one important factor for passwords. There's no minimum password length everyone agrees on, but you should generally go for passwords that are a minimum of 12 characters in length. A longer password would be even better. So coming to the third rule, keep it weird. Don't misunderstand the previous rule on increased length and decreased complexity. That's not to say you should be content with 11111111111. Longer is always better, but that length advantage is destroyed if you're not mixing it up. Also, many people try to be more secure by adding characters to passwords, but if these longer passwords are based on simple patterns, they will put you in just as much risk of having your identity stolen by hackers. Avoid common sports and pop culture terms. The more common a password is, the less secure it will be, so go with something no one else would. A strong password also loves diversity. Use a mix of characters. The more you mix up uppercase and lowercase letters, numbers, and special symbols, the better your password is, and the harder it is for a brute force attack to crack it. With the previous tips, it's pretty easy to come up with a strong password. Just bash your fingers against your keyboard, and you can come up with an unpredictable set of characters. That's a pretty good one. It's long, includes a mix of many different types of characters, and is hard to guess. The only problem here is memorizing this password. Assuming you don't have a photographic memory, you'd have to spend time drilling these characters into your brain. Therefore, the next password rule is, get some help for administrating your passwords. Use a password manager. A password manager keeps track of all of your passwords and does all the remembering for you, except for one thing: the master password, which grants you access to your password manager. Multi-factor authentication adds an extra layer of protection. These have become the new industry standard for effective security. They require something in addition to a password, such as biometrics like fingerprint or eye scan or any physical token. This way, as simple or complex as your password is, it's only half of the puzzle. A popular multi-factor authentication method today is to use a specialized app for your smartphone. The app generates a one-time PIN that you enter as the additional factor during your login process. Continuing with actual methods of generating secure passwords, the uncommon words method is a multiple word phrase method with a twist. Choose bizarre and uncommon words. Use proper nouns, the names of local businesses, historical figures, any words you know in another language, and so on. A hacker might guess quagmire, but he or she would find it ridiculously challenging to try to guess a good password example like this. While the words should be uncommon, try to compose a phrase that gives you a mental image. This will help you remember. To further improve your password in complexity, you can add random characters in the middle of your words or between the words. Just avoid underscores between words and any common leet-speak substitutions. In contrast to the uncommon words method, you might find it easier to remember a sentence like, "Happily the sun was shining on my wedding on 4th of August and a number of 78 people were invited." You can turn that sentence into a password by using the first digits of each word. This is a strong password at 21 digits. Sure, a true random password might include a few more numbers and symbols and uppercase letters scrambled around, but it's not bad at all. A similar method is described as the Schneier method. The idea is to think of a random sentence and transform it into a password using a rule. For example, think of a sentence like "The Old Duke is my favorite pub in South London." Then choose a password rule, for example taking the first 2 letters of every word. As a result, your password would result in some kind of gibberish to anyone else, but to you it makes perfect sense. However, make sure the sentence you choose is as personal and unguessable as possible. So far so good, now you know everything you need to create your own strong passwords. If you enjoyed this video, tell me what you liked about it and maybe tell me in which topics of data security you are still interested in. Do not forget to leave a like. Thanks.